3, 2, 1. Jazz hands.
Woo! Yes, I'm trying the desktop version today.
Me too.
Like punishment.
Did you get the session back that you lost the timeline of?
Yes, you know what it
You
was?
did. What happened?
The overlaid video of Gimbal's intro loader.
What?
I dropped a video in off his Instagram, of Michael's Instagram, which was just cool for people watching the YouTube video, and I thought it would be easy.
Broke it.
Yes. Anyway, how's it going for you?
I am well, thank you. Still waking up. Got my coffee. I sent you the picture of the coffee filling directly.
It's
in
on
the
Instagram
Mocha
already.
Master. No way. And what I didn't send you was the photo of it overflowing because I didn't get back to it in time. It was just like spilling forth, which made it possibly an even better photo. But there you go.
It's poof. I do love the orange one.
Yeah, the orange is good. What color is yours?
Oh, just boring, like slate gray for the house, because that's
Sure.
just for millennials. And apparently, did you hear this? That like
No.
Gen Z starting to see our like millennial minimalism as like what we think is like these oak houses. It's starting to look kind of like dated and like, well,
Oh,
it
yeah.
probably has for a while to them, but it's just looking kind of rough, I guess. And I'm like, no, that means we're really old. Black doesn't get dated. You can just black's forever.
Yep. Yeah. I wear a black uniform. Do you wear a uniform? I don't really have a sense of what you wear other than like the top third of your body.
You want to see my pants? Is that what
Yeah, I
you
want to see your pants.
Basically, yeah, I have like a couple pair of jeans. I got into long sleeve shirts this last year and wore one of 5 of those. And yeah, there was a while where you were wearing, I think during your winter, you were wearing your maroon hoodie in like every one of our thumbnails.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine. It's just, I just noticed it. I was like, they might think we're just repeating these.
I've got about 5 of those like butter hoodies, and they are all in various states of disrepair. And I keep one clean one in the photo booth, just hanging on a hook that just lives up there permanently, so I can always just drag on the same clean one. But yeah, I pretty much wear like butter t-shirts or hoodies all year round, everywhere, in every context, because it's the only clean clothes I have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. I know. Well, clean to a point, right? Like,
to a point. Workshop clean.
Workshop clean. You don't wear these on the couch at home.
Oh, yeah, I do. But maybe that's a reflection. Yeah.
Or your clean workshop.
Maybe. I don't know. Got lots of little notes here.
Let's start out by talking about how your Mocha Master, I think you got me onto it, and then we bought one when we had my son, because I used to make a Chemex pour over like every day, which is what happens before you have kids. I knew as soon as that was coming up, I was like, yeah, there's no more time to spend 10 to 15 minutes swirling coffee with a little thing. And so I got a Mocha Master, and I legitimately think it's just better than how I used to make coffee, which is just kind of wild. I would have never said that before about any other drip machine. I don't understand what is so much better, because it's just very basic, like, of a machine.
See, I grew out of my coffee snobbery well before having children, I think. So I don't care much anymore. And I've had the Mocha Master a long time now, but it was back in Kensington days when I bought it, because I thought it would help keep the team on site and not wandering up the street for takeaways. And it did. It did help.
Did the Google thing where you like brought in dry cleaning and childcare so they don't leave?
That's right. And I stopped caring about coffee a long time ago, and I kind of gaslit my mother-in-law, we kind of live with our mother-in-law. She's through the wall in like a separate house, and like back in the day,
I love when you say that every time.
But I was very coffee snobby, And I sort of trained her in how much of a coffee snob I was. And then, over the years, I just cared less and less and less. And now, like, she's very perplexed by the fact that I'll drink anything, including instant coffee. She'll come in asking for techniques of, like, how to use her AeroPress better. I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. Do what you
Erin used to
want.
be a barista before I met her at a little coffee shop, and like she just recently, I always tried to get her to like help me make better coffee at home, and she just would be like, I don't care, I don't want to do that anymore, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then just recently saw me like making on our little like crappy home espresso machine. She's like, if you do this, it'll be better. I'm like, you've waited 15 years to tell me how to make better coffee, come on.
It's like Johnny here, our machinist, because we met him. He was our local barista in the cafe. That's how we know him. And then he came and worked for us and became our lead machinist over the years. He's like, he cares the least of all of us in the shop, I think. Like, he's like, when he makes coffee in the morning, he leaves coffee grind on the bottom of the filter and just throws it in, leaves the coffee bag open, doesn't care about stale beans. And I'm like, come on, man. You are the barista. It's been burnt out of him.
Yeah, I get that. It's funny you brought up the mother-in-law thing, because I believe my mother-in-law listens to this most often. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Linda.
She comments on our conversations, and I'm always like, you must enjoy this because you're way too nice otherwise to listen to us babble about things that are, pretty off in the weeds from what you're interested in. Hello, Linda. But she has also really upgraded her coffee game, probably because I come there and that I'm fussy, and she has nicely upgraded her grinder and her machines, and now she's like getting into it too. So coffee brings people together, right?
I'll take a milky one, please, Linda.
If you're right over.
How's your week?
Mm-hmm. It's been a little bit hectic in a new way. I had a little bit of that experience of launching a new thing, which was it's that like fun, crazy, many more messages, another Instagram account now. I think I'm on to 5 or 6. So a bunch of you actually are just catching the show from last week as we record this and that listen, and we've had a bunch of people sign up. So the response has been really good so far to our AirShop announcement, and a bunch of people, not to my surprise, but just I'm happy to see that a bunch of people want like demos, and I'm like, yeah, great. That's not quite ready yet, but like, I'd love to show you really soon. Hopefully within, I'm thinking probably a week or two, probably more like 2 weeks. We'll have kind of a couple more things wrapped up and better to show, rather than just some stuff is tough sometimes to like walk people through. I don't want to give the wrong impression of status, I guess, because of some weird little bugs.
Don't be too precious either, though. Like,
yeah, well,
bring people
tough.
on the. I know. Bring people on the journey.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone likes a failed demo.
Right. Yeah, Brady said that when I was talking about demos. I was like, I need to know what to avoid if it doesn't work well in demos. And he's like, yeah, demos are always just like, you can only go to this 7-Eleven and open the app in this circumstance. Otherwise, it's going to implode.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really fun. And there's been a lot of confirmation of just basically that our concept is what people want right now. Like a lot of listeners here and otherwise that are like, I have been looking for a thing that integrates those two features, inventory and quotes, and I'm excited to see what you have. It's like, unless they were throwing money at you, just like, I will pay anything. It's not going to get much better than that at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. I was chatting to one of our clients who's an upholsterer, and I think he must have glanced Airtable when he was here last, and then he texted me saying what we use, and I explained it, and then I was like, I use Airtable and Quotient, blah, blah, blah. He's a client, so he's seen our Quotient outputs. And then I mentioned what you're doing and sent him the sign-up form, and I think, it clicked with him immediately, seeing just your landing page and what you're trying to do. It's like, oh, yeah, that's what I want. Cool. Great. Slide up.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, you've pushed a few people our way. It's been nice. I'm excited. There's also just this really nice feeling. I've said this before. I feel like, especially because of this podcast and just talking to you, that I have so many just good people. I guess I would call them friends. I don't know if they would call me a friend, but just so many people that are like just so positively encouraging and just kind of along for anything, right? And especially a lot of Australians that have commented, and it's just a nice feeling, like to know people in a very different part of the world that you've never met. So
yeah. No, I feel the same.
Yeah. Anyway, won't turn into an airshop advertising podcast, I promise. Just excited for the first little announcement.
Awesome. How's your 55-minute YouTube video going? Any
It's good, been well.
decent performance?
Slowed down. It's second to my plywood video in terms of last 10 performance, which is good. We did also pass 10,000 subscribers basically because of that video on YouTube. So that's kind of a nice, weird little marker. Get to another digit.
Do you get any revenue from YouTube?
Currently, in the last 28 days, my estimated revenue is $101.
Yeah.
So this is not a money-making venture. This is for fun. Or, I genuinely still enjoy making video like that. Like it's like it scratches a different itch of creativity and like workflow. And I was excited to use that new little gimbal camera, little Osmo thing. It was really fun. And then, I'm a weird technology geek. So it's like, I want to try the new thing. And how does it edit it? And is the audio good? And yeah. Did you watch any of it?
I haven't watched it in full yet. No, I've only flicked through a little bit of it, bits and bobs.
Yep.
Haven't had a chance. Yep. My schedule's just so full of like ping pong videos after hours. I find it hard to get anything else done.
Yeah, sure.
Well, someone sent me a YouTube video, another video I haven't watched, but have looked at in part, of like some historical manufacturing footage of a big tumbling setup, like barrel tumbling, barrel finishing, which is cool to see. Mm-hmm. And pretty much looked very, very similar to what we're doing actually with our new barrel finishing with like lumps of wax going in. But it looked like they were I need to watch it in more detail. It's in German too, which doesn't help. But it almost looked like they were putting river stones into the steel drum.
Wow.
And then taking those out and replacing them with rags. Maybe the river stones were wax. I'm not sure. Anyway, the rag step was interesting because it was, doing a secondary process where it's like rubbing up and smoothing and polishing, I guess.
Wow.
But I wanted to ask our audience here whether they've got any insights into barrel polishing, I guess would be the best description, because we're just getting a really waxy, it's working and it's okay, but we're getting quite like a waxy finish. Like all it's really doing is depositing wax on all the surfaces of the parts, which is cool. And then they put in some like Vortex or like Echo Panel, like industrial PET felt strips and just chuck them in as well, thinking like they'll absorb some of the excess wax. They'll give it like a soft surface for the parts to rub against and maybe get it like a smoother finish, which they did, but then they just kind of soak up wax and get fully like impregnated and kind of stop being useful. I think I was trying to think like what could I add into this barrel to help with the actual polishing process, smoothing and polishing. I'm a bit stuck as to what media to use and wondering whether anyone had any insights into that.
That's interesting.
I asked the robots and they suggested like acetal like balls, Delrin beads.
Sounds like it would,
which I don't know,
potentially like kind of bash it up a little bit.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. What about maybe this makes no sense. I don't have much of any experience with this, but like what about like those little like no grit Brillo pads?
Which ones are they? What's Brillo?
Like usually they're white here, like the stuff we use for Osmo.
The Scotch-Brite pad, similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
It's not really
Got
going to
some of
absorb
those.
much, probably.
No, but they are lightly. I mean, that's what you'd use for polishing in some
Yeah, that's
applications, right?
basically the same thought.
Yeah. Or maybe if the inside surface of the barrel could be sort of covered with a surface like
Mm.
that too, potentially, because it's really loud. Like it's this hexagonal timber barrel. Dig, 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 dig. They have to put it in the far corner of the shop to not just overwhelm all the airwaves. But
I was
mm,
I was trying to imagine what you would do in like an industrial setting. Honestly, we should run this by David because part of what we talked about in the tour and like what they do a lot for people. I mean, you might have an idea of like just often he runs into these situations for big manufacturers where they're like, well, we need to tumble these parts differently. Like, how would you do it? And so they come up with a solution for him. And I was imagining it more like instead of it enclosed in something that they're like running across the surface, probably like a inclined surface, and maybe that continues, or I don't know how you keep it from. Well, what if it's like a big U that goes back and forth? Like
I
you would
mean,
take a bowling ball
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
shine it up, but it's just automated.
It'd be a cool machine. I mean, that's kind of what the tumbler barrel is doing. It's creating a sort of infinitely rolling surface.
Right. True. That's true. Just in the case that then I guess maybe they have more chance of hitting each other, but I don't know.
They do, yeah. Oh, made a sale. Flashy, flashy. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Does Ricky get a flashing light too?
Yeah. They're all over
Awesome.
now. They're in the shipping area. They're at his desk.
It's nice to see
It's
Ricky
funny.
in a video.
Yeah. I made a little video of, yeah. He's a little camera shy, so I don't push it on him.
Of course. But it was nice to see. Hi, Ricky.
Oh, Senior Debris sent me a Instagram post for the first to see it, but there's this new. Wait, maybe we talked about it at one point. This company called Vention, VENTION.io. They had like a builder of automation things. You could like drop in robots and like extrusions and like build a cell. Basically, I think we talked about it like probably 2 years ago. They just announced that they came out with a collaboration with 3M, the new Rapid Series sanding solution, and it's a Cobot. It looks like the Progressive. I know it's a Fanuc CRX30IA, which is like the worst naming structure, and it's like a table that you can. They keep showing it with like cabinet door fronts, but it's a robot that will sand these things, and it's like a turnkey solution.
Mm.
Classically, almost no information on pricing on their website, but
If you have to ask,
interesting.
you can't afford it, Justin.
I mean, they show wood shops using it, so somebody's affording it, unless it's like a
Cool.
prototype.
Yeah, I haven't looked at their platform. I'm super curious though to just drag some robots around, see what you can do with the little configuration tool. But yeah, I looked at that photo you sent me. I was like, cool. Does it just sand the fronts of cabinet doors? Because that's kind of like it's the easiest thing to sand in my mind. But maybe cool. I don't know. If it can break edges, if it can sand the bevel on my kit parts shelves, then maybe I'm interested. I don't know.
They show it on the second link I have there on their website as sanding a big, long plywood panel. Looks like it's like 2.5 meters long, which would be surprising to me if it could reach all that, but it might be on a track too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't know. Curious to learn more. It won't let me sign up with an Australian phone number, so another time.
They don't want your business.
Yeah, I mean, our big wide belt sander obviously does good surface sanding. You feed things out, and
Right.
it sands surfaces nicely. What it doesn't do is, do any edge breaking or anything like that. And I've seen wide belt setups where they're a little bit more fancy and they've got like kind of brush stages within them that can get down into like a molded cabinet door detail, which, is really not a thing that I'd ever do, but it can, get over an edge a little bit and break a sharp edge on a front of a cabinet door, or, get down into a V groove and actually smooth it and things like that. But we've talked about it here. Like the bevels on our kit apart shelves are one of the more labor-intensive sanding steps that we do. If you could teach a robot to get around by that radius and sand at the 60 degrees, then great. Cool.
It seems so doable, but I mean, there's a lot of factors to it, I suppose.
Yeah.
On this Vention page, I mean, I'm sure they're always like overly aggressive about ROI numbers. They're claiming a 2-year payback on investment. I saw another one somewhere on a different page of a different setup. I think it was the Instagram post, said 1 year of the ROI, which is like pretty fast. But that's, it's kind of, it's pretty appealing at that point to like, if you had the cash or you could finance it, in your case, to like, you have a use case in this situation where you make a lot of those dang bevels, and if it frees up somebody to do it differently, or like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I do imagine this could be something that a robot could do better than a human. Like those kind of bevel sanding.
Consistently.
It's not easy to go around a corner with a consistent motion, even if you've done it a million times.
Yeah, and Ben will do it differently to how I would do it, subtly. And not that matters that much in this particular application, but, consistency is nice.
Right. Shandy could do it better, potentially.
Shandy.
It's my name for it.
Shandy is just like a terrible drink that you have in a pub in Australia somewhere.
Yeah, we got that too.
You got shandies?
Yeah. Is that a British thing? I don't really know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Have a shandy to go, please, Linda.
This they give you a robot. Yes, fantastic.
Speaking of robots, our over the years on Trinity, which is our newer, faster, better flatbed CNC, the Canadian built a multicam. I've had various little weird ghosty bug, like ghost in the machine sort of bugs from time to time. Like it will start a cut, and instead of driving at the intended feed rate, it'll go at like 200 millimeters a minute and just like crawl and burn the tool, and then get to a corner and go, "Whoa, off we go now," and just like weird little thing, or like
forgetting what they're doing.
You cut a spiral, and if you pause in the middle of a spiral and then hit resume, it will just like go, "Woo, I'm going this way now," and just like cut through your work in completely the wrong direction.
Whoa.
And John and I have always been a bit perplexed and stuck with it. And we've learnt, certain little tricks in Fusion where it's like, okay, if you add a lead-in point here, a start point here, then that'll override that issue. And it's basically post-processor incompatibilities or bugs.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. And we're cutting these cutting these parts this week for some light fittings that we're making for a client. And it's all circular work, like outer circle, inner diameter, circular cutouts within that. And then he cut the first few test parts, and they weren't concentric, like they weren't round. You put two circles on top of each other and twist them 90 degrees, and you get a difference in edge by like a couple of millimeters, so significant. But then you cut exactly the same file on the other machine on Cameron, and they come out round. And really spooky. But then you cut a circle of a slightly different diameter and it cuts perfectly. So it's just like these spooky little post-processor bugs, which we don't know how to deal with sometimes. And Johnny comes into the office the other day. He's like, "Oh yeah, I made a new post-processor from scratch using ChatGPT." I was like,
from
what?
Scratch? Like not even based off the original?
No, based off the good one. So based off like Cameron's post. Because Cameron and Trinity have different like line arc needs. Use the two different, G code. You've got two different arc systems, which I can't explain.
Yeah,
off the
same.
top of my head, and they use the different systems anyway. So he fed both posts into Chatty, fed good code, bad code, and then got it to build a new post from scratch for Trinity, and he's been testing it, running, and so far so good. I was like, shit, yeah, that's awesome. Never occurred to me.
That's wild. Those kind of things do freak me out a little bit. The level of, like, I'd probably do it for the router. I'd get pretty nervous about the mill just because it's like so apt to just destroy itself.
So much
But
more weight.
I used to do, before there was these LLM things, I have modified both of them myself. So I guess that might be more risky considering my coding capabilities. I don't really know.
Yeah, I've done like little mods, like, little one line here, one line there sort of stuff, but no,
Yep. Right.
never occurred to me to do a complete overhaul.
It's a good point. We should do the same because we have, I was going to say, for the ShopSaver Fusion post has some glitch in it where, if you can never remember which one it is, all those like feed rate settings underneath the tool, you select the tool in the tool path on that first page of the settings, you get like feed rate, lead in, lead out. It's like if too many of those are the same, I think it's if they match the feed rate, it will basically glitch out. I don't know what happens, but it's like almost like two negatives make a positive situation, and it will just go at rapid speed. It'll just start cutting it rapid, like the exact same thing you're talking about. It'll ramp in, and then it just has no feed rate. It just blasts away, and it's got to be some logic about how it's looking at when it needs to post a feed rate. Like when it changes, it's thinking like, oh no, it already said it was this, and so it doesn't post it for some reason. I've never tried to fix it, but it's annoying.
Surely, yeah.
The mill doesn't do that.
Surely that's a post issue as well, right?
It's got to be, yeah. I've just never wanted to spend the time on it because it's really not that hard to avoid. I get, in your case, that seems like it's way worse because ours never goes on random tangents. Doesn't go on joyrides.
But it's spooky when it does. Not a fun time.
Very cool. What model did you use?
Don't know. Maybe he said 03, actually. Yeah. Just in his own Chatty account. I think he was using 03, maybe. I imagine Cursor could do a good job of post stuff, right? Be a good environment to work on posts.
Yep.
I had a question for you, actually, on Cursor, given that I feel like you're more of a pro user. Now that you're a software developer, I'm a little perplexed by the difference between the chat function and the composer function.
Aha. I've watched some videos to know some answers.
This is what I haven't done. I haven't done any research. I just come to you. So sometimes I'll new project, like I was trying to make a Shopify app this week, and I jumped into chat and I workshopped it in chat, and then I was like, oh, that's all looking good. Now what? And then I go into Composer, and it didn't seem to share the context of what I'd already discussed.
I just got balloons for some reason.
Balloons!
I stopped using chat is my first answer. I was using it, and I think I had just started using Cursor when they didn't have Composer, and like the next week or something, they put in Composer, and it seems to be the future of how they're going to use it, where it might be more context aware. I'm not going to give a good answer, but basically it seems like the way you should use Composer. That's the answer.
I'll just do that. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some reason, but I watched the primetime guy, the streamer I watch that does discussions about code things and development, and he kind of did a whole thing on why to use that, I think. And
okay, sweet.
I think they might get rid of chat at some point, maybe. I'm not really sure, but
okay. Because like the distinction kind of made sense in my brain of like, I'm going to go over here and just sort of chat through a problem, but it's not going to make direct edits to my code. But then having had that conversation, I wanted to then intuitively, I then wanted to go to Composer and be like, right, let's implement that now. And then it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay.
All right. So
sure.
I asked GPT to tell me about Cursor. Chat is best used for quick AI-assisted coding, debugging, without switching context. You get inline explanations, code suggestions, interactive back and forth.
Yeah.
Composer is more structured, good for generating or refactoring larger code blocks. It's like an AI-assisted code editor where you input prompts and it produces a structured response.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it described as like, it makes sense. It's like, I heard on the Vergecast, they're discussing, we've gone along with this idea that chat is the way to engage with these LLMs because it was like the UI that made sense in the beginning, but realistically, it's like probably not the right fit for a lot of things.
Yeah. I feel like
it should be something else.
That chat's gonna fade away to some extent in a lot of these tools, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Whee! Thank you. I knew you'd know the answers.
Yeah. Some.
Anyway, I didn't have any luck building my Shopify app, but I was trying to do it in a rush. Great.
Can I just get this done in 5 minutes?
Make changes to your Shopify structure in a rush with experimental tools, and then walk away.
Push it out.
Push it. So I need to sit down and have some
push it good
consolidated time pondering, because I'm excited to have a crack at it. It's like it's replacing a $50 a month app in our store that kind of handles material variants and swatches and stuff. Like, I'm sure I can work this out, but more of an evening weekend project, perhaps.
Right. The thing that I think is pretty impactful, especially when working in Cursor, is I think you're better at this than I am. Like, I start like too much like a chat, and I don't give enough context in the beginning. And I think that sets off down like a confusing trajectory sometimes for how it answers. Whereas like if you give it like a pretty detailed, I want this, I don't want that, I want it to, work like this, I need you to use this type of coding, and make a pretty extensive first request or like guidance on how you want to work, I think it does seem to treat that better. Because it's always just looking for the next answer, right? So it's like, if it has this bigger piece of data to start with, I feel like you get lost often in the discussion of the like, oh no, I only meant it to be like this. And then it gets confused and it's like, well, wait, what did you want to change? I'm going to just whack them all back and forth answers. And
that's what I love so much about Dictation, and like, because you can give so much more of that nuanced sort of context in a waffling 3-minute.
Just, and then not read it back and just go. Yeah, I should use it more and more. I started using it so much more because of having a baby. I mean, I've always been a big Siri AirPods user, but man, the thing is like even sitting at my desk trying to hold a kid and get a couple things done, you just hit the dictation button and talk and keep their hands off the keyboard. So much easier than trying to. No, don't hit the button. I know it's shiny.
Yeah, I think I've been partly using it way more because I have an office to myself these days.
Like, that's true. That's a big difference.
Like, I'm not in a shared office as I was a year ago, and so I used to be a little bit self-conscious about like just constantly talking to my computer or phone, whereas now I'm happy to just like waffle away, and it's kind of broken my awkwardness about it. Like, someone can come into the office now and they know, they see me doing it all the time, so like, I'll just keep chatting away.
You're just
doing what I do.
I wasn't talking to my computer. Oh, you didn't see anything.
Someone's here.
Did you say call that computer a name? Like, are you referring to it as a person?
Sometimes. Depends which agent I'm talking to.
You're just like, I'm talking to my therapist. Go away. Did you see the sign?
No, I don't know. Have you noticed any degradation in models the last few weeks.
Yeah,
I had a terrible time this week.
yeah, I'm so like I'm ready to blame it on that, but also I'm like, well, what
Sure.
else changed? Like what else? Like I was trying to use that circle analysis script in Rhino that I brought up a while back, and it just used to work fine. And then I went to use it, and I got a new error in the script that was like the circle something something doesn't work. It's not in the library or something. And I was like, so I like couldn't find where I originally which tool helped me make it, and so I started a new thing with I think O3 Mini maybe in something I don't remember where I was in Sim Theory, and it just couldn't give me answers. It couldn't solve the problem. It took 30 different attempts of it trying to give me code to fix that one little piece, and it wouldn't find all the actual holes again. Like it missed the smallest ones, and I was like, well, what good is this? Like I've got this partially crappy script, and I suppose that's always the case when you're talking about these tools is versus a human that knows how to write code. Is they're not going to just make a partial solution probably that misses one end of the analysis of your parts. I guess I don't know. Just yes, this is the short answer.
Yeah, I don't know what happened this week. I just because I use my email writing agent heaps many times a day, and for basically every email I send, and I just noticed it starting to really lose context. So it's looking at my Gmail, it sees the customer email, I dictate a response, and then it was just doing really wacky stuff like getting roles reversed of taking something from the customer's email and then writing it as if I was saying that. So getting confused contextually,
right,
and just putting starting some hallucinations, which is pretty rare for it. No, I didn't tell you that price. Why are you putting pricing in the email? I didn't even mention pricing.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? So there was a lot of cursing.
Is this Sim Theory?
Yeah, also all through Sim Theory agent, but with various different LLMs, trying it across different ones.
I'd sent you that I had noticed that it was passing more between threads than I had expected it to. Like it had remembered, I don't even remember what the detail was, where I was asking a question in one of the agents, I think it was my Portland CNC agent, and it gave me all this context of something that I hadn't explicitly given it, right? Like I hadn't told it to keep this in memory or whatever its thing is. And it shockingly, it was just I was like, whoa, you remembered I told you that somehow, someplace, I was surprised. And so I wonder if that also is if it degrades and is remembering things maybe you didn't want it to, or trying to always inject itself in a certain way. I don't know.
Do you ever go through and filter out memories in an agent?
I should. I just don't want to spend the time to do it, I think, is what it ends up being.
I think it's worth doing. Yeah, I do gardening in there, weeding, because sometimes some of the crap that drops in, it's nah, that does. Don't remember that.
I liked that GPT would tell you when it would add stuff, right?
Yeah, that was cool. Because you could tell when it was remembering weird things. But I really like the way they've built memories in Sim2. I think it's the way it functions is great. But I do think it's important to go in there and do some gardening from time to time and just cull and trim things. But I ended up rewriting all my agent prompts for emails and stuff multiple times, and I just ended up going back to an old version, to be honest. I was like, okay, this works. Let's just stick with this one for now.
I haven't spent much of any time on that kind of stuff lately. I'm just throwing stuff at it and wanting it to work and then running away and not trying to well, I think I said this forever ago. I keep having this feeling of not wanting to invest anything extra into any of these systems because I keep switching between which one I want to use based on some new thing. Something new has come out and it's well, actually GPT is really good now. I'm gonna use that. Try to go back to Sim Theory and it's got some new thing. So it's 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 just not a sunk cost. I suppose it is a sunk cost, and that I don't want to sink any extra time into it other than just give me an answer.
Yeah, totally.
User needs to start over with AWS configuration. Yeah, seems accurate. I've just setting up my little local coding environment for the app. It's messy. It is one of the most complicated things that I've encountered to like it's just like 6 layers deep of like you have to log in all these different ways and do all these different commands and have all these packages installed, and then even when you get it all right, there's still issues and you're like, I don't really know what I did or how I got here.
Is this for AirShop?
Yeah, just trying to create a local coding environment so you can test stuff that isn't in the actual app, and that breaks my brain even after months of figuring out how to do it well and then coming back to it and it's like broken and you're like, what happened? I don't understand. Yeah. Anyway.
The PS2 was looking good yesterday, driving around. Ro was here in the workshop and working on it. Oh yeah, it drives around. Have you seen it moving? I sent you the test cuts, didn't I?
Okay. I was thinking you meant like it was on a movable robotic base or something. It's like driving around.
No, it does drive
around.
Drive around every week actually, because Ro lives in Melbourne and takes it home every week in the front seat of their Celica, and so I've got this photo of it like just strapped in the front seat with a seatbelt on. But no, it's looking pretty good. But the steppers that we've put in are proving to be slow, which isn't super critical at this point. We'll keep testing and get some proper test cuts going, but it is significantly slower than the clear path driven PS1. Which is not surprising. Much cheaper hardware, but
yeah. Is that like a limit you're gonna?
Out.
Yeah. Is it worth? What's the cost difference, just relatively? I don't even know.
I don't know. It's probably like $100 worth of steppers versus $600 worth of clear paths or something. I don't know off the top of my head.
I suppose in a production environment, though, that money is definitely worth it, even for small. For testing, it's what it is. But I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Reliability, probably. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
Just speed of producing things.
Yeah, I do love the ClearPath system. Whenever I've had to fiddle with it, I'm always impressed. It's rad. Yeah, the tuning's a delight and implementation's straightforward, and yeah, they've just ticked a lot of boxes, I think.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What are you working through now? Design changes, refinement, and
kind of lots of little problems. I'm sure you're familiar with that stage. But generally speaking, we're at a point where we're setting up the workspace coordinates and putting its first production code into it so that we can get some actual production part test cuts going. And then expecting that we'll find issues with that in terms of rigidity, and then starting to like one step at a time going, cool, let's replace this assembly with machined aluminium parts, test it again, and just kind of work through that until we've got a robust tool, basically.
Very cool. So like you'll have some interface where like different parts will be kind of just ready to like click, start making end cap kind of thing.
Yeah, correct. That's the idea. The little CNC controller is just sort of PC desktop driven at the moment. It's actually a web page. You go onto it's got its own Wi-Fi network. You log onto that and you jog and control the machine and drop code onto it from there. So we'll see. It's all pretty rough and ready at the moment. But ultimately, some sort of interface where you can just quickly select between the 4 different file types and hit go is the aim.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
This is the dreaded question. Do you have like a timeline?
I'd love to be ready to ship one to the States in 3 months.
Woo! Heard it here first. If I write
That's
it
the
down,
timeline.
it's in gold.
Yep. That's the plan.
Let's see. I'll use my little script to see what that date should be.
Text expander.
Yeah. Next.
Sick. I can see you doing it. Trying to find the right shortcut.
While I'm talking, I couldn't remember the stupid command n.fd. So 3 months, Tuesday, May 13th, 2025.
Did it.
I've also got ones that will do like only weekdays, which are real nice when you're like estimating timelines for clients.
Such a text expander pro.
Dude, GPT I had so many things where I was like, oh my God, I want to make this text expander snippet. And like, I couldn't figure out how to do a little coding to make it work. And it just was like, yep, here you go. This is easy. You know, like it'd be like the most complicated stuff. And it's like nothing for it.
Do you have a cheat sheet to remember all the shortcuts? Do you
Some
find
of them are in my
yourself
head.
searching?
And then, I use the search thing to pop up the ones I don't remember. I can't live without it.
Yeah, me neither. It's awesome. Can't believe how long it took me to get onto it.
Right.
Speaking of useless tools that you got me onto, the Raycast. What the hell, man? I don't get it.
You don't like it still?
Nah, don't like it.
I thought you were gonna go, that's great. No, this is stupid.
The one thing I got excited about, which I messaged you, was like, oh, it can eject all my hard drives and USBs in one fell.
How often do you do that?
Every time I go home.
You could pick a little shortcut for it.
But it doesn't work. Nothing happens.
You can make a shortcut, and then have it run the shortcut.
No, but the shortcut doesn't do anything. Breakcast did not eject all my disks as it promised.
I don't want to try that right now. Yeah, it does say. It just says ejects all disks. I don't know. As a Mac user, and I'm not using it to put files onto a drive for the mill, which literally is the only time in my memory that it matters if you eject the disks. It will corrupt the stupid USB stick every time, or whatever CF card. It's the only time I've ever needed to eject disks before pulling them out, but otherwise I just yank everything out.
I yank them all out too. I just get worried sometimes when I've got like all my years worth of photos, my little SSDs next to me every day.
Right.
But how going on time, boss? Showmaster.
55 minutes. Oh God. Like it's this.
Oh, daddy.
That's not it. I thought it was P.
Wrong hole,
God, where
Justin.
did it go? Oh, here it is.
And now it's profit time.
I'm gonna have to make that P slide over.
P for profit. I looked away for a second. I looked back, and your head was huge, looking for buttons. We've finally
That's gonna be a clip.
We've finally rejigged our spreadsheet. Made a 2025 version.
I need to do that too.
And Laura did all of it. I had little involvement. Laura went into mad spreadsheet mode this week, and we found a whole bunch of errors, interestingly. I had somehow undercooked payroll last year in terms of what it was allocating for payroll. It was under by a fair bit. It was weird. I don't know how I did it. Like, I had people's salaries in there correctly, but somehow in my calcs, I'd stuffed it up. And also materials were way under. And so, she's reconfigured it all so to reflect more accurately on our, sort of last 12 months of trading. But what she's also done is made certain accounts fixed. So, payroll specifically is a fixed distribution. We know how much payroll is every fortnight. And so that's no longer percentage-based.
Right.
So it was weird doing the first distribution in the new system on Monday of oh wow, materials is huge and payrolls, because we had such a good week of sales last week. I was distributing 30K in one hit, which is unusually big, and I was like, wow, materials is coming through at almost 50% of this. That seems high. It's because of that sort of imbalanced, some fixed distribution, some percentage based. So it's all balancing out. But yeah, exciting. And, some regrets of not having done it myself, but awesome to have had Laura do it. She's very good at that stuff. She's a closet accountant and very good at spreadsheet formulas, and she enjoys it. And so, yeah, it's also kind of marks the point of putting Laura back on payroll officially in the company, which is exciting because it's been bloody, I don't know. I don't even know how many years. Could be 10 years since Laura was on payroll.
The plasma days?
But maybe, yeah. Could be back to plasma days. So,
cool.
Yeah, she's always been heavily involved, but now she's a day a week.
Getting paid for it?
Day and a half a week. Yeah, she's getting paid for it again, which is good.
That's Erin's always, she's always like, what am I going to get paid for working? Yeah. Paid for doing something? When I always like tease her about like, you should come do something for us. Yeah.
So that's been good.
When you were describing that, what I realized is I took your sheet and lightly modified like 2 pages, and I have no good nexus for like, I keep track of what the distributions are, but I really need to rework it. And I realized that probably should just make an agent in Sim Theory for this. We have 6 seconds. We gotta go.